We'll call the meeting to order at 6:09. And our first order of business will be to approve the minutes from April 9th, 15th, and 17th respectively.
So moved.
Seconded. Sorry.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. A little behind, and swore, it's great.
Any discussion?
The meeting minutes look good for the 9th and the 15th. I was not present for the 17th, I don't know. But I'm good with the other two meetings.
The motion was just to do one meeting or
All three.
All three, okay.
Mhm. So, and Nick has concurred with the first two dates, but wasn't present for the 17th. And I was, and everything looks in order. That was our meeting with Gretchen about grants. So, all those in favor of adopting the 3 minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, additions and deletions, old business, town hall use common policy. And that's you, Kate, did you find your stuff in there?
It's in, you want to do it after the, no, we're not doing it now.
No,
Just
no,
announcing
down
it.
here.
Oh, we're just
Yeah.
announcing that we're doing it, we're getting to it. That's what I just asked you.
Right, no, I gave you a long list.
Okay, and then another piece of old business to follow will be, another added new business is employee request for medical leave and Riverbend's liquor and tobacco licenses. Now we will get to members of the public. Gretchen Havreluk, the MTAP program. Gretchen, you have the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you for having me back, and just a little recap that we had a meeting on the 17th, and we did it via Zoom for me, and you came up with some projects, and then I had you score those projects, and we included some of the planning commission members and other people that were in attendance. And the ones that came to the top of the list, like the top 3, is the town hall renovation for ADA compliance, and fire alarm system for town garage, town hall, firehouse, and the library, and then backup power for town garage and town hall. So the scoring showed up as really number 1 being the backup power for the town garage and town hall. Second was the fire alarm system. And then of course, third came in with the town hall, ADA renovations. So just a quick note, and I will put this in an email form to Connie, that, you know, the ADA compliance, there might be a grant out there for you because you guys are a downtown designation, and you know, we can you know, help you. I can, you know, point you in the right direction for that. So I feel like it makes sense to group the backup power for town garage and town hall along with the fire alarm system all together into the category of climate resiliency, because it does make you more prepared for disasters and things like that. But for everyday living for your residents, I think would be fairly compelling. So again, I can't guarantee that you're going to get this funding, but I do think that it's definitely worth a shot. And so what I would need from you this evening is to have a vote a motion to submit an MTAP statement of work to proceed with the potential funding for the fire alarm and the backup power for the municipal buildings. You could loop it all together.
Should we make a
And then
motion
I
to
can,
discuss?
I would write the statement of work for you, and I would submit it before that April 30th date.
Okay, so I make a motion that we do those 3 projects with you. And,
It's
Two projects.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 projects, and that you would complete the paperwork by the 30th of this month, the 2nd, and then we can discuss.
Sure. Seconded.
Okay, so discussion? Questions?
Well, first of all, a little bit more about MTAP, about the funding.
So the Municipal Technical Assistance Program is it's a statewide, and certain towns were selected for this particular program. And Townshend was selected in a second round of funding. And what it is, or was, and this is evolved, it has changed. And my time, like, we were not supposed to be doing this until the end of June, and all of a sudden we had to scramble because the 1st of April, we were notified that we have to submit statements of work by April 30th. But it was to help smaller towns with technical assistance items and to move, projects forward, to help you identify those projects and to help you, collaborate with some funding and move forward with those.
Terrific.
So is the June start time for more work still the timeline, or this is just we're getting this statement of work and getting to work on it?
Yes. So what's going to happen, you're going to get notified I believe if you are funded, you will get notified as well as Wyndham Regional Commission.
Okay.
And they will help you through that process in some way. We are still working out details about how that's going to work because we thought that we were going to be employed for much longer. So we're still working out those details.
Okay. And is the town's relationship with MTAP, is it a contract? Is this kind of like an in-kind out of the state? What is that financial relationship?
There is no cost to the town whatsoever to participate. It's all funded through, I believe it was American Rescue Plan money from the state, and then they stood up this program.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Excellent.
You're welcome. Yes, so no funding, no cost to you. So.
Any other questions or comments? Oh, hi, Bob.
The MTAP grants are non-competitive,
Well, they are competitive.
okay? I had understood they were non-competitive, but they're competitive. So combining those 2 projects, what value do you come to?
So about $43,000.
Okay, that's for one generator and one alarm system at one of those facilities, okay. I was worried that it might be $120,000.
Oh, it's more than that, I'm sorry, because town garage only, so it would be more than that. It would be like,
Yeah, about
Yeah,
52,000.
yeah, 52,000.
Okay, so
Sorry.
I'm just a little concerned that if it's too big a number, that would be kicked out simply because there's not that much money. There's $3 million in this pot?
Yes.
For how many towns? 14?
No, this is statewide. That they-
Okay, so
Yeah, there's more than that.
147 or something. So I'm just worried that this would be too big if we combine those 2 programs
But it's not every town in the state of Vermont.
Right.
Just so.
So, again, it's a little different from what I remember, but certainly the standby generator and the alarm systems are necessary.
Mhm.
But I don't know if there's any concern about the number growing and not then being something that we could really put our arms around and be able to take. You understand what I'm saying? Trying to say it's too big a number, but
Are you saying that
you know
because
the
you,
best.
We'd have to know how.
are you
many
feeling like
towns.
we might not get it because that number is too high and there's a small,
That's my concern, but again, Gretchen knows this program better than any of us. So if you're saying we would still be eligible and in the running, that's go ahead, go for it.
I believe that you would be, and I believe that, I know that there has been other communities accepted already. They changed the whole guidance as of April 1st, like I said, that did get out in the front. And they did not get fully funded. So you might get a lesser amount, or you might not get any. Like, I can't guarantee that.
Gretchen, I remember in the meeting the other day you had spoke about the scoring, how they sort of make their decisions. Could you speak on that? Maybe that would help clear this up.
Sure. There is an index, sorry, I don't have that note in front of me here, but, excuse me. There is an index that was created for all the towns that were accepted into the MTAP program. And it was based on, capacity within the town, population, those types of things. So as well as, and which I will be putting into the statement of work, community need. And I think that's it. So those are the main criterias for that.
And could you just repeat the figure for the total funding that we'd be seeking?
So it'd be 50, actually,
I think you guys said 52.
yeah, 52.
Yeah, okay, 52.
That's one generator and alarms for each of the buildings. Okay. Because we're originally talking about generators for 2 buildings, the garage and this. But again, like I said, I don't want to make it too big a number either.
So, shall we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen, and thank you for everything you've done.
Oh, you're welcome.
Do you know who your person after you is going to be?
No,
Okay, you'll let us know?
it will probably just be within regional staff.
Okay. But thank you for everything you've done.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Pleasure. Bye.
Shall we ask for other members of the public? Do any other members of the public have anything to say before we go on with the meeting? Okay, no correspondence. We have the warrants to sign, which we can do after the meeting, right?
Well, I have to read them all. So the warrants for,
Make the motion to pay them.
I don't have to read them. I
You have to
them.
read it, but you make the motion, yeah.
Well, then I make a motion that we pay the warrants.
Seconded?
And they are,
Yeah,
Oh,
you read
and-
them out. Sorry to
Thank you.
confuse you.
Thank you. And no problem, I got this down, right? And the warrants for the 26th of April are payroll in the amount of $10,587.42. Payroll taxes in the amount of $3,513. General fund in the amount of $9,300.67. Highway in the amount of $9,529.82, and highway equipment in the amount of $2,112.30, for a total of $43.21.
Could I just ask a clarifying question? It says 3/26/23 on there. Is that just a
Yeah, I was
typo?
in there.
I
Okay.
almost
Great.
said that out loud.
Just
but then I
wanted
You
to
did
make
say
sure.
the correct date then, that was good.
And I said, no, English major, no, don't do it twice in one day.
Okay, any questions? Other than the date? So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So now we move on to the highway report.
No snow, that's a good thing. Just some of you know that the grader went down at the beginning of last week. It's currently red tagged. We have acquired a rental for now in the short term. So we are getting roads graded. That's pretty much the gist of what we got going on right now. Guys are in the shop, we're getting to get the benches out on the common this week at some point I've been requested to have them out for green up day, so we'll get them out this week, weather's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's about it.
And during old business in a little while, Katie and you will talk about the proposal,
Oh,
just so that the folks know.
I thought it was time now.
This is a question.
The treasurer reports.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
So during the last meeting when you talked about the grader going down, there was a $10,000 amount of money allowed to repair it, and it was supposed to be looked at.
It's been looked at, they replaced the turbo in it, and it's not the cause, there's deeper issues, so we need to discuss.
We'll discuss that, Laura,
Oh,
when
that's
we
what's
get to
coming
the
up.
old business
We are gonna
with
discuss
proposals.
that.
and
Okay.
We won't keep you in the dark. So the treasurer report, we have the M&T Bank with the two dollar items of $672,739.27. And then our standard $30,000 that we always have. And then we have Connie's reconciled general fund balance, which takes that 600 some odd $1,000 and bookkeeps all of the monies that we have earmarked for things, so what's really available in that. And this is always available if anybody wants to see it. I have a copy of it, but the reconciled fund balance goes from down to $331,800. So. And town clerk, in the 2-week period, Alenka took in almost $1,000, and it's $978 to be exact. And it's all book kept here. And then we move on to the chair, and I have no report. And then we go to old business, which is the equipment proposal. Katie, would you like to start there? Or would you like Jeremy to?
Well, let's see. Yeah, why don't you start and then I will add what I need to.
The equipment proposal update on approved stuff. So the excavator we have that we are currently looking at has a purchase price of $173,000, which we are trying to get a municipal loan for, which would mean we would have a $63,000 down payment plus or minus depending on numbers and final numbers. The timeline on that is when what am I looking at? We'll get a purchase agreement when we order the excavator so we can get better numbers. I'm not really sure on the wait time on it. I haven't talked to the sales guy recently on that, but I'm sure it's gonna be a month or so anyways. And the excavator trailer, I found one for $21,000 out of a company out of North Carolina. It will cost us an additional $1,100 to have it delivered. So short-term rental on an excavator till we can get our permanent one. I have prices through Milton Rentals. It's $3,700 a month, $1,200 in trucking fees to and from. That's a short term till we get our purchased one. So onto the backhoe, we're looking at a $34,593 payment annually, plus or minus whatever the interest rate is set at when we make our final signature. Boils down to about $2,883 a month. There's currently a 6-week lead time on the backhoe to receive it. So I've looked into short-term rentals, and I've found through Milton Rents, $2,800 a month plus $450 delivery each way. I also have a rental, found one through MT3 Construction out of Guilford. He's willing to rent as his for $2,500 a month, probably $250 delivery each way. So in the interim for the grader, we've agreed to a $5,000 a month rental. We're probably gonna need it at least till the end of June, or until he needs it back, one or the other. So that brings us to the questions. What are we gonna do long-term about the grader? Can we finance 3 pieces of equipment? And what to do with excavator work prior to getting the excavator? The work driven by V-Trans grants needs to be done by the end of September. So I did point out some point of context. I mean, all 3 pieces of equipment are important, but if needed, the grader and the backhoe are the 2 more essential ones. If the excavator does need to go on the back burner for a year or so. What is this, Hannah?
Jeremy,
Yes, Karen.
so that doesn't infer that we would be using our excavator. That means that we would contract out if we had to, or short-term rent an excavator to get us through a few projects at the end of the summer, right, that we were talking about, and then next fiscal year revisit the possibility, if we do the capital fund and continue that, of getting the excavator next year. Because with this issue with the grader going down, changed our priorities on what Jeremy needs to do, the work that needs to be done, and the timelines that it needs to be done. And in his opinion, the grader jumped to top of the list. We absolutely need that piece of equipment, and we need it like yesterday. And so we're trying to crunch numbers to figure out what that would look like to get a grader to, obviously there's rental numbers, short-term rental numbers on here, but we do need to, hopefully by the next meeting, have a plan on what we're gonna do full-time with the grader. I mean, if we were to get a piece of equipment, we'd have to decide that by the next meeting.
And my opinion is, yes, we need to do that sooner or later. We don't want to be running the rental, because I mean it states in if something happens that would, other than like a blown motor, if we break something, that's on us, and we're paying to fix somebody else's machine. So the quicker we can get this sorted out, the better.
Isn't it like a really expensive piece of equipment?
It's about a $400,000 piece of equipment, but it is the absolute most essential piece of equipment we have in the summertime.
Yeah.
To discuss, we need a motion.
We can make
I
a
think
motion to
he's
discuss.
still talking about it.
I don't think we have a motion yet, because we don't have a proposal yet.
So,
This grader, I think you mentioned last time, you said it was 25 years old?
23.
23 years old.
And Jeremy and I and Connie met several times about this and really hashed out the possibilities. And we're not recommending that we try to get it repaired. It costs money to truck it to the repair place. It costs money hourly just to open the machine up and diagnose it and then put it back together and then truck it back. And it doesn't make sense to do that on such an old machine that has had issues before. So,
You know, you could put 40 or 50 into a motor. Next month, the transmission could go.
Is it
I know
worth anything
the-
as is?
The final,
they think we might get something to trade.
we'll get something that won't be as good as it would have been if we had done this a year or two ago before the motor had issues, but, I talked to the salesman, he's gonna come look at the other one. There'll be some trade-in value, but just not what, you know, would have been if we had done it before.
And this V-Trans loan application, isn't it due April 30th?
So the loan application was due April 15th. We put that in for the excavator, as that was the original plan, but I've been in touch with the Department of the Treasurer, and they seem pretty flexible with it. We were already in communication ahead of that deadline, so they acknowledged that. So I just had like one kind of pending question with them, was because there's a stipulation if there's an emergency breakdown, then they could waive some of the limits to how much we could borrow. So before it was 110,000, we could potentially do more. So I think that's just one more piece that I need to get some clarification on, but I think we would still be eligible. And we do already have an application in, so perhaps we could just change it for the grader.
And
There's
instead
also
of
the-
or in addition to, would you think that would be possible?
I would say instead of.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Could be in addition, but I'm not really clear if they'll allow that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think there's a priority to be instead.
Yeah,
Also, the lease option for the grader too,
Right.
like we're doing with the backhoe.
yeah.
5-year lease, you own it at the end of the lease, or you trade it in, get a new machine, and you'll have some trade-in value. So the lease payment will drop, but who knows, you know, I can't tell you that now, so.
Where do we stand now?
Well,
I would like to discuss how much money we have to spend. We have been charged with spending $200,000 to purchase a piece of equipment, and then we find ourselves in this situation, which is real and it's valid. But that $200,000 is still resonating in my mind. And I wonder if we leased or rented until town meeting when we bring it to the public, what that would look like. Just, you know, not to have blinders on and say we have to buy, just to kind of look at all possibilities, yes.
So one thing I'll say that the lease agreement that you had shared with me around the backhoe, they had spelled out that we would not be locked in, right? So we could back out if it doesn't get approved, and so we wouldn't really be committing the town to anything if we did go on the lease route, and then we would still be able to continue if we wanted to continue that lease and eventually purchase it.
And I did some like number crunching a little bit on some of these like leases per month. And they tend to be cheaper than short-term renting. And with the opportunity to back out of it, it kind of makes more sense, in my opinion, to pursue it that way. Because the short-term renting is inevitably a lot more expensive. Another thing that's come up that Jeremy and I discussed is that we've had large storms in the summer, and with something like the larger rental companies, they're not going to pull equipment back, but some of the lower, you know, the smaller
Doing you a
companies
favor.
are going to pull equipment back if they need it.
Yeah.
And they also do their own work with their equipment, and they rent it in between. And so it's not a guarantee that in a catastrophic storm, we're going to have a piece of equipment. And so, you know, that price goes up with these larger companies. So it's just about like, you know, $5,000 a month is going to add up really quickly. And would it have made sense to get into a lease for $2,800 a month or whatever it could
Especially if you
possibly
can
be.
pull out.
Especially if you can pull out of it.
Yeah.
So, do I hear that we should entertain a motion to instruct Jeremy to head towards leasing the 3 pieces of equipment?
Do we know the cost on that?
We don't. Jeremy is looking into leasing a grader, right?
I haven't heard anything yet. I just talked to him yesterday morning, so.
And something like the excavator, with the short-term renting of the excavator, we had talked about, he would need that for about 3 months, June to the end of September. That would take care of this. We have outstanding V-Trans funds that were given to us through a grant, 2 separate grants.
Okay.
One of them was the time period of it was extended for some different reasons.
The storm last year.
So it equals, one of them is
It's over
$31,000 and the other one's $21,000. And we would like to take advantage of those and see that work through. You need an excavator for that work. I think you need the excavator for that work. Because of the way that they spell out the work and what the requirements of it are. So for us, we were thinking that there is an option that Jeremy could contract that work out, but then that money isn't coming into us. So a short-term rental on an excavator might make sense, with the idea of us putting the excavator purchase on hold until next year, which kind of lightens our load a little bit, especially because graders are so expensive. They're,
Right.
twice or 3 times as much as an excavator. So that would give us some time to plan something to get him through until the end of September, and, would take the edge off of all, like leasing 3 pieces of equipment would be a lot.
Yeah.
And you don't think that this rental would be one that they pull back if they?
Well, that depends on the company. This Milton company is much bigger, right, Jeremy? And they wouldn't, you sign a contract, I want it from then to then, and they don't pull
It's
that
valid.
back. Yeah.
But we don't know the cost of that one. That's not the
Well,
$5,000.
it's
a month.
16,000.
Well, in terms of temporary excavator, Milton is $3,700 a month. So we had said between, that roughly it's gonna cost about $16,000 total for, rent, if we short-term rented the excavator, right, for those 3 months that we need that work for. So that's one expense.
4 months.
Yeah, 4 months.
Yeah.
Yes, June 1st to
The
September
only
30th.
thing is that we will need to purchase a trailer to move that piece of equipment, or, because I don't know of any companies that rent trailers. I could call Milton and see if they do rent a trailer, but I've rarely heard of that. So,
But the trailer is something that we need regardless.
we should have one anyways.
Out of curiosity, what are we using for a trailer now?
Nothing, we don't have one.
How do we move the equipment?
We just drive it.
Everything's on wheels. But that takes a toll on equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, if the backhoe that we have now, I bet you has 70,000 miles on it. It's, every day it's the backhoe is out doing something, and it's like 15 miles to the top of Back Windham Road. So, and we've never left it. If we're doing a job on that end of town, we'd rarely leave the machine on the roadside, because they had issues in the past with leaving equipment in the pit and the windows getting smashed out of it. So,
So if you look at the cost for this year, right? It would be $16,000 for the rental of the excavator. The purchasing of the trailer is another $22,000. The backhoe lease for 1 year is roughly $35,000. And then, what do we anticipate on the grader?
We don't know what that would be for a year
For a
payment for a
lease.
lease. We don't know.
Well, if it's, say,
I'm
$3,000
guessing somewhere
a
around
month.
80 or 90 a year. Yeah, just off the top, 400,000 divided by 5 plus the interest, so.
So you're looking to see if we can do the leases and obtain the trailer for
Or
under
within
the
the
200,000. That's what I was thinking.
And would that trailer be
Ours.
it would be ours, but it would be usable for anything else
Anything.
that you
And
might,
over-
any grader,
Yeah.
you know, it's not.
Well, not the grader. We would be able to haul the backhoe or either one of the two smaller trucks.
Okay.
Or the smaller trucks.
How do you move the grader then?
We drive it.
You
In
massive.
order to move a grader, we would need a tractor trailer truck and a lowboy. That's,
It's massive.
it's big. It's, 50,000 pounds, so.
Okay, so what we're hearing is 16,000 to rent an excavator for the year, a trailer purchase forever for $22,000, a backhoe lease for the year for approximately $35,000, and a grader lease for an estimated $90,000, which comes out to a total of $163,000. So, shall we make a motion to,
What was that again? Sorry.
the dollar amount or what I just uttered?
What you just said.
I said, I'm asking the board, would anybody like to make a motion to raise $163,000 for this purpose? Yes.
The $200,000 is already allotted at the town meeting, so this would come under that.
Correct.
So
I'm
we
wondering
need
if
to raise it.
I'm wondering if we should first vote on whether or not we put the excavator on hold, since we are in the process of getting a loan for that, and we're gonna need to decide on that either way.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to, would it be to pause on the loan on the excavator, or pause on
Suspend.
obtaining the purchase of an excavator?
I mean, I'm not really sure we would need to do that because the application's in, we're not gonna hear back until June. So that's not really something we're gonna act on yet. We could make a motion to, I don't even know if we would need a motion. I could investigate, see if we could change that for the backhoe loan instead. And then we take a 2% instead of the 7% lease on the backhoe. Personally, I think that we still need some more information before we really vote on a
On whether or not we're gonna do
specific
that. Oh,
Dollar amount?
okay.
Yeah.
Are, there would be monthly payments with that, yearly payments? Do
I
you have any
believe it's a
idea?
yearly. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
looked like.
annual payment.
What, the lease or the loan?
With the loan from the state of Vermont.
So we don't wanna do that
Yeah,
right
it seemed
now?
like it was yearly
Okay.
from the records.
Never mind then, for my motion. All right, but we wanted to, make sure that everybody understood that last time we did, the motion was to allow Jeremy to lease a backhoe and allow Jeremy to short-term rent a backhoe, so that doesn't need to be part of, it is part of the numbers we're crunching, but it doesn't need to be part of our current, of whatever motion we make right now, which I don't think we're ready. So I think it's just to,
Buy a trailer.
well, the trailer was on that too,
Yeah, the
wasn't it?
trailer was on
The
there.
trailer was
So
on
maybe
that
we
as
don't-
well,
Maybe
so.
increased by 1,000 or 2,000, but yeah, it was already on there.
And I know Jeremy's working on getting some numbers for us available about what it would cost to lease a grader. So,
The only thing that I remember Jeremy saying is that we need a contract of commitment before we know final numbers, and we would need to be authorized to go get that,
I need to be authorized to order the machine.
right, order the machine, before you know final costs.
Yes. That 34,000 is very close to what it's gonna, it's all, the purchase price is the same, it's $140,500. That's what they're basing the lease on. It's all depending on interest rates,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
So the problem is if we wait another 2 weeks, it means another 2 weeks that he's not ordering the machine, which means another 2 weeks in the 6-week timeline. So it begins to affect his ability to do the work. or to stop doing short-term rentals and enter into.
Okay, so I'm seeing that in this price, we have rent the excavator, which wasn't part of our initial one.
Okay.
So that's a new
That was
one.
new,
And trailer was part, backhoe lease was part of it, and the grader,
Was not.
Was not.
a problem.
so, so those are the two that we have to
But
discuss.
we
and-
did authorize at the emergency meeting
For him
the
to-
short-term rental of the grader.
Okay. And so should we discuss renting the excavator or for the 4-month period for the 16,000?
Okay, I can make a motion for that. I'd like to make a motion to allow Jeremy to rent an excavator short-term for work that'll take place between June and the end of September. Should we say not to exceed $16,000? Or should I say the monthly from Milton at the $3,700 a month?
Yeah, sounds good.
Not to exceed $16,000.
Seconded.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So now we will move on
No, I
to,
think Bob has,
oh, hi Bob.
Hi. Katie, the 31,000 and 21,000, this lease would take care of those grants coming in, I guess.
It'll allow us to do the work. There's a,
Ourselves. and
best
stuff.
management practices that's involved in the grant money, how they want you to do the work. I believe it's ditching, is it
Yeah,
ditching?
stone line ditching.
Stone line
So the problem
ditching.
we've had in the past is every time we've contracted out our stone line ditching, it's never done right. The segments that have been contracted out have already failed. I mean, not to say that I have one spot that has failed in ours, but it's because the road washed into the ditch. It just needs to be cleaned out and redone, but,
Okay, but that $52,000 is gonna contribute to the
It'll-
16 that we're leasing.
yes, it will.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
okay, good.
So you can,
So we don't have to do any of these other ones?
The ones with
Authorization to enter
Basically
into
what the
a greater lease or to
we do
explore a
the
greater
work.
lease?
the, we had that motion already in the past,
I
correct?
think we have.
Not a lease on a grader, we
contract
didn't.
out.
So do we
We need
need,
a short-term rental.
yeah, we
on
can
a
have a
greater
short,
lease.
2 months maybe.
Sometimes.
So do we need a motion
to investigate the lease on a greater?
One grant contracted out just because I'm behind at this point.
You seconded that.
Okay.
so we just moved on that today, on the excavator rental.
It'll go back in there probably.
Jeremy, I have a question for you about the trailer. Since we did vote that in last time that he could purchase the trailer, what do you need from us in order for you to move forward on that?
Well, I guess, when can I purchase the trailer? Because we're still in fiscal,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so do we need to look into that further?
can we pull money from another account that I have money in one account that would cover that cost?
Excavator and no trailer.
Okay.
And what account
So-
is that?
My materials and supplies account, which is usually my road sand and salt. I was way under this year because we didn't have a winter.
I wanna have a
Do we have,
conversation.
do we have that update
Because
on
every-
where the surplus
more
money
and
is?
more
She's
money
back
and
on Monday.
how
She
do
and I
we use
discussed
it?
looking into it, but she
How did
wanted
it
to.
used to be
Gotcha.
utilized, how do we deal with it now? So, because that might be an answer to what we're just talking about.
Okay, so
We
that's
moved
the
on
one thing
this,
that we didn't.
we moved on this,
Is the fiscal year.
Yeah.
we already voted on that.
Mhm.
Have we made a motion for the grader?
We haven't, is it to give him permission to explore a lease for a grader? All right, I'd like to make a motion to give Jeremy permission to explore leasing a grader.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Or opposed? Okay.
And now we also.
No discussion,
Oh,
does anyone wanna?
what we
What
already
did we decide for the backhoes?
It's gonna be confusing, isn't it?
We're gonna get this.
Jeremy, do you think it's enough time to get numbers together for us for the next meeting on that,
I think
for
so.
leasing it? Okay.
Bill's usually pretty
He's
quick.
now asking about the backhoe. What do you need on the backhoe?
Well, do I have the approval to order the machine? And get a rental in the short term?
Remember that as soon as he talks to the person that puts it in motion to order the machine, he was concerned that he knows that we told him that he could get the machine, but because the interest rate only locks in at the moment that the machine gets ordered, he didn't order it yet because he was concerned that that number might fluctuate and he didn't want to have that be an issue. So we need to authorize, well, we've already authorized him to get it, but I think that we needed a motion to have Ally
Ally
sign on
his
behalf of the board.
When it's time.
When it comes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to clarify, that money due on the backhoe lease wouldn't be until the start of fiscal
They
year
can,
25.
he can push it to
Right.
July 1st.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to allow, or to authorize Ally to sign on behalf of the board for the lease of the backhoe when the final numbers come in, thus allowing Jeremy to actually order the machine.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
At this point, Nick, we probably won't see it till somewhere at the end of June or July anyways.
With the lead time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did a lot of like going back and forth on how long it takes to get the machine and how long we would need these temporary rentals. And,
Right.
you know, it's not as simple as getting it off the lot. So there's been a lot of discussion on this.
Shall we go over this or just assume it's right? We moved to rent the excavator.
Yep.
We had already voted on the trailer. We just moved for me to sign for the backhoe lease and the grader lease. We've just moved for only exploration, correct? Not border.
Yes,
agreements?
exploration for
Okay.
greater lease. And I guess we're gonna have to meet in the meantime to talk about this trailer, how to move forward on it,
Why?
because the
Jeremy.
money is in
Oh.
the fiscal year.
I'm getting
Sorry.
this weird.
Jeremy just said he had the funds and the salt and material
Yeah.
account to be able to cover that for this fiscal year.
Right.
For the trail.
We haven't,
Right, but it's
no,
not
we haven't
a
got
place
clarity
to
on
do
how
that.
that money can be
No,
moved
We
around, so.
we can do that, but it's.
According to some, it can't.
I think you
I
and I
don't see
should
the
just
budget,
meet.
still money in the budget.
And it's-
So
So we need
it's
to.
a supply, really.
Allow him to use monies.
Not yet.
Not yet.
What I would like to,
When you need it.
Yeah.
what I would like to suggest is that Katie and I sit down and go over the budget and find out how we can possibly afford this prior to July 1st. And we will do that tout sweet.
And I think a large purpose of this, all of this information coming at everybody right now is that we really wanted to let you know that, you know, last time we talked about the excavator being top of the list, well, that's changed, and so that's why we had to kind of get through this web of information. So we just wanted everyone to be on board with understanding that we were getting the grader and possibly waiting on the excavator.
And you did so
et
much
cetera.
work, thank you.
I couldn't do it without Connie and Jeremy.
Do I have approval for short-term backhoe?
Yeah, you already have.
You already have that,
And that's gonna get signed tonight.
and and Ally's been authorized to
I
sign.
don't have the,
There's a short-term rental agreement.
well, that's through Milton. I'm getting one from MT3. The short-term rental agreement you have is for the grader. That's the one that needs to be signed like ASAP.
Should be. The short-term rental agreement.
That's for the grader, yeah.
So this we're not
And
signing now.
I don't know if Ally's been authorized to sign on behalf of the board for that.
Okay, I can make that. I'd like to make a motion to authorize Ally to sign the short-term rental or agreement for the grader on behalf of the board.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And you got that little sheet of paper too?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jeremy, is there anything else you can think of that we might need to discuss about any of this right now?
Did we make a decision on the rental of the backhoe?
That was decided last time. You were allowed to short-term rent a backhoe and you were allowed to lease, or, and for the meantime, that was in the motion last meeting.
Last week was a grader, not the backhoe, but the backhoe was discussed.
No, the grader was the 2,000 going up to 10,000,
Where'd
right?
our sticky note go, Connie? Did we, do you know if it, oh,
Let's
cause
look at the meeting
was,
minutes.
do you remember if it was in your proposal last time to short-term rent a backhoe?
I thought it was, yeah.
I thought it was.
Oh, yeah, it might have been.
Your entire proposal last time was approved. That was the motion that was made and it was approved. Okay, I think we covered that.
Good, we'll get there, folks. Okay, then the next is the update on hazard mitigation plan.
Okay. So, on April 12th, Connie and I met with Alyssa Sabeto from Wyndham Regional. And so, just to kind of recap, the hazard mitigation plan is a plan where we as a town go over the local hazards, in particular the natural hazards that we face within Townsend, and different mitigation actions we can take to address those hazards. We are out of date on that plan. The last time it was updated was 2016, and this plan is necessary to be eligible for various FEMA grants. So while we can still get FEMA grants for emergency situations, for any other situation where FEMA has grant money available, perhaps be proactive in addressing these hazards, we will not be eligible. So, Wyndham Regional is working with us to get us into compliance with that. And as Sherwood mentioned before, we'll also be able to get back a state matching grants that right now is reduced because we're out of date. And so the plan with Wyndham Regional is to assemble a core team of folks in town, including the Planning Commission, the Select Board, folks from Grace Cottage, Valley Cares we reached out to as well, kind of all these different essential services and community-based organizations that are serving marginalized or vulnerable populations. And so we will be meeting in May 8th, that Wednesday evening, to discuss first the hazards that we face in the town. And then Alyssa will take that from that meeting. We'll start compiling more of the information for our plan, and then we'll reconvene maybe June or July. We have yet to set that date. And then we'll reconvene with that same group to go over and discuss the different mitigation actions that we can take. So really, we only need those two meeting dates and the cooperation of several of our partners in town. And then Wyndham Regional will take over and really draft the plan, and we'll kind of react to it, comment, make some edits, and we're just gonna go back and forth, and then it'll get approval from the state and then later FEMA, I believe.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes. Yes. I don't know.
Discussion?
Yes, discussion.
Who was first?
Nick, you're putting together a good group on this. A couple months ago at Valley Cares, there was a meeting and there was a group called Senior Solutions. Are they part of this?
So I did reach out to Valley Cares. I haven't heard back from most folks. You're the only one that's emailed me back so far.
Okay.
So I'm still gonna follow up just to make sure we get a solid commitment from people to be at these meetings. But we had only reached out to Valley Cares so far, not specifically to Senior Solutions.
Valley Cares has this group called Senior Solutions as part of their administration of something apparently. And there were people at this meeting who talked about being homebound. So I mean, this might be a good group that understands what some of those needs are.
Yeah.
And how about the high school? Are they part of this too?
So I did reach out to the principal and assistant principal at Leland Gray and the principal at Townsend Elementary.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Laura?
I just got an email a while ago that asked all these same questions.
Yes, sir.
Is that from y'all?
Yes. So
Oh,
that
okay.
was another thing. Thank you for reminding me. That was another thing. They also, Wyndham Regional also wanted us to field a survey, just kind of asking folks to fill it out. It's a really short 3-question. It's in the packet, of just kind of what hazards have you experienced and what level of concern you have around them. So I did ask Alenka to post that survey on the Townsend Families Facebook page and on our local front porch forum.
Is that gonna be posted again? I saw it on the forum.
I'm not sure. Well, we could post the survey again, you know, that is definitely an option. We'll also post the information around this meeting again on Front Porch Forum closer to the date.
The
So
link to
that,
the survey price.
yeah. And then we also just put, you know, in our usual flyering spots, the flyer in this packet, just letting folks know. So we are reaching out to this core team of individuals, but this is also, of course, is always open to the public, and it is best if more folks are involved, and really just kind of making sure that we're documenting all of the hazards that are relevant to our area, to our residents.
Nick, we won't have time to get anything about this in the newsletter for this issue that's coming out
Okay.
soon, but we will have time to give the results of the meeting, maybe the results of the survey, and anticipate the July meeting. I'll be happy to follow up.
Okay,
and
great.
write an article about that.
That'd be great.
Any further questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the monthly report for the grant coordinator.
Okay, so we sat down, Ally and Connie and I, just to talk about what I've been doing so far and what I see happening going forward. So there's a couple things that kind of came to my attention in my research of what we would even be eligible for. I went back, you know, watched a few meetings from when these things were brought up about what people felt concerned about from between the Planning Commission and other members of the public had brought forward about what they think that the town might need. Because a lot of what I'm trying to do, which I will also, I think we're all trying to do, is whittle down what those needs are. And would we be going for something big? Would we be going for something small? In the meantime, like how are we going to move forward? What do we exactly need? Something, a larger grant like to fix the town hall would be a years-long process that would take a lot of, you know, a committee and would take, you know, so, and strong goals and things like that. So I came across some different goal grants that would benefit things like the town hall. But what I was coming up against is that there's some housekeeping things. There's some documents that we have for the government that you need to keep up to date, and ours aren't up to date, so those need to be addressed. There's things like we don't have our own official .gov website, which we do have in our computer pack that we purchased last year, but we don't have that in motion. And how would we be able to put that in motion? Because while the website that puts our select board minutes up and stuff like that is great and just a wonderful thing that we have, there are some federal grants specifically that want you to make official statements of progress or anything like that, and you really need to have an official website for the town in order to do that. So just those are some examples of some of the housekeeping items that I've found as I'm going through these different grants and the possibilities and what makes you eligible for them. So otherwise, I've been working with Jeremy to bring these V-Trans grants to fruition, the $52,000 that we mentioned earlier. That was a lot of what our meetings have been about. And then otherwise talking with Ally and Connie about just the priorities list. Something I did want to bring up after having Ms. Havreluk earlier here to talk about the MTAP. If we weren't able to get that, I did find that there's a passive grant that will cover at least the fire alarms for both buildings. So I could pursue that if we find out that we weren't eligible for the MTAP. So that was a neat thing that I came across the other day. I've also done a VLCT training webinar. That's a 3-part that I'm gonna continue to do. And I've been keeping really specific records of my time and what exactly I'm doing with it. So, let's see, anything else?
Attending meetings with me.
Yeah,
I'm not over
yeah.
Yeah, bring that one up. I got a lot of good news from that one. Sounded really interesting. Yeah.
Oh, from us going, yeah, we've gone to a foreman's seminar. You know, and a lot of it was educational about road things for me, but also the person that taught it went a lot into funding, went into a lot about communication about funding. Because these things, look at how we just bumbled through our plan for equipment, like there's a lot of things to take into account and how to really get that communication effective so you can move forward in a timely manner. So that's something that we've been doing. We're going again, right? In a couple of weeks. Yeah, Marlboro next week. Let's see. And so, I don't know, does anyone have any questions for me on what I've been doing or any ideas that they want me to do?
On the passive grant that you talked about, is that deadline coming up soon, or is that something that would be like in conflict with the MTAP timeline?
I don't think it's in conflict with the MTAP. I don't know, I don't remember the exact date. It's in this large blue folder here. But I do believe we have plenty of time to pursue it.
Great.
I saw this Explore Vermont about town halls. Is this from you?
No, Corey sent that to me.
Corey sent it.
everybody.
I thought this was very cool because the last picture was us, of course, but just some of the other things that town halls have done. Okay, great.
And something also that you made me think of with your questions to Gretchen, a lot of what I'm finding with the Vermont grants and the state grants is that they have a lot of priorities for rural communities with population less than 5,000 residents, things like that. They're really trying to fund the ideas of our small towns and the support of that, and I think that's a good direction for us to go in. The VLCT website has a lot of information on grants for the towns and just opportunities to pursue. So that's been a big help for just,
Was that the VLTC stuff behind their paywall that I couldn't
I
take a
think
look
so,
at?
I think
Could I
so.
see that at some point in time?
I think so,
Yeah.
Great,
yeah.
excellent.
I'll see if I can even print it out, maybe I can. So I don't have a specific grant that I'm pursuing right now because we haven't really decided what we're doing outside of the V-Trans grants. But I think that we're on the brink of
So
figuring.
you're getting your ducks in a row to present to us.
Yes, so, and I will be presenting at the second meeting each month.
Thank you.
So what's the status with the gazebo? Because I know you were looking into a grant with that, so I'm just.
Right, I did. We weren't able to apply, so when the down payment was made on the gazebo, it made us ineligible for the grant. But that grant, we tick every box for the eligibility of that grant, so I didn't want to take the chance.
Yeah.
Knowing, I spoke to 3 different people from the
grant writing community.
From the T-Mobile grant people. I called them because Lee Petty said to call them, so I did. And so that down payment made us ineligible. So I thought, well, we can get up to $50,000. Our eligibility is just boom, boom, boom with everything that they're doing. It's quarterly, so there's the next one. It's $50,000 every 4 months. You know.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, there's a lot of other things. You know, the fountain's broken.
I was just gonna say, the fountain could use a complete restoration.
So I think that we're definitely that's a good option for us.
Yeah.
Once we decide exactly what we would want it for.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's actually a really slim down application. It's one of the easier ones to, I mean, still a lot of information, but it's pretty like slim. So, once we figure out a different shovel-ready plan, we could pursue it for sure.
Is it your opinion that by the second meeting of every month, you're going to report to us? Will you have a grant by then, do you estimate?
I think so, as long as we're
Okay.
able to meet.
It sounds that way.
Yeah. Yep. And what I had learned also through the VLCT training, it was for municipalities like before you even apply for a grant. These are sort of things to keep in your mind. And what they were saying was there really should be somebody like what I'm doing that is the person who is going to apply for the grant, administer be that person throughout the process. The committee comes in maybe to decide what you need. But you can't have so many people doing paperwork, it gets really convoluted. So what I learned from that is the possibility, maybe we form some kind of committee to whittle down the idea, and then I do the research, find the grant, show that to the committee and the select board, and then we move forward. So that's something I've been thinking about, how to put that together.
Yeah.
So you're learning your job and whittling it down?
Yes.
Good. Well, thank you for everything you've done. And are you comfortable with how you're reporting to Elaine and getting paid and all of that?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Connie a question after, because I already asked Elaine and I didn't I got more confused, but I did report to her once.
Okay, good.
And she onboarded me and all of that.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, next on our agenda is Town Hall Cleaning and Light Maintenance Person. Before we discuss that, I wanted to mention that Jeremy said there's a possibility that we could expand the job, include the dump job, include cleaning the garage, and doing the lawn mowing and the snow blowing. And so I would basically like to table this item until next week when we get a little more information on that, if it's okay with everybody. Do I need to make a motion to table it off there? I don't think so. Okay, then we'll go on to town hall use for the dance, not the policy yet, but Paul Payas has asked to use the town hall for 2 people to to practice dancing for 1 month. And he has given his homeowner's insurance as a vehicle of liability. It does not name us as a party to it, but he has been told that he is covered for anything that could happen at town hall. So, shall I make a motion to approve that?
So the select board had instructed us to go back and find some more information regarding his request. In the meantime, we have also heard from VLCT this concern about the insurance certificate naming the town as a protected party. They give sort of a waffling answer that you really should have it, but if it's just a couple of people, then maybe you don't. So
or a kid's birthday party.
Yeah. So it is up to the board about how much risk you're willing to take on.
Yeah.
Well, 2 people dancing, I don't know.
And Wednesdays, we had approved for the Leland and Gray theater group to use it. Is that Tuesdays and Thursdays?
I think it's
So that Wednesdays is an open day.
I think so. We would make sure that there isn't a conflict.
Okay. And then he did answer the question that we had for how long
How long?
do we need it, which was important to know.
Yeah, and I mean, I pictured like all year with 25 people dancing, but it's 2 people for a month. So I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
Second.
Wait, so
Nick, you made the motion and you seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, now we're on to you for the town hall / common use policy.
Okay, there are 3 items. Everybody have a copy of these? I'd like to point out that the motivation for revising the policy and the contract rental agreement was to better accomplish what is said in the first line of the Town of Townsend Town Hall use policy. That is that it is the policy of the Town of Townsend to encourage the use of its town hall. So in 2018, there was quite a bit of effort put into creating policies and a form. So this does not negate the effort that was done in 2018, but simply to, if possible, to make the forms simpler and to achieve that goal of encouraging. So encouraging, being even more encouraging through even greater simplicity. That was the impetus behind the revisions. And the common use policy, before, in the second paragraph, it said that the requests were due 30 days beforehand, and that was taken out because it was deemed, Katie and I worked on this, it was deemed unnecessary, another impediment, 30 days, if you don't have 30 days ahead of time, off with your head. And it seemed a little, we could take that impediment away. I mean, the select board has to approve it, so there's going to be some amount of time. And because space was created there, I was able to take the language about where a person finds liability insurance and event insurance, and putting that in the form or in the policy to make it a little easier and less daunting, just to say you have to have an insurance liability certificate and give no guidance. So use that space to give that guidance. The rest of this is is just editorial, clarifying that the name that's on the rental agreement is the responsible party, and this person has to be present and in charge of the event. And also to clarify the fees, it's a $100 fee to offset taxpayer expenses of wear and tear, but the fee will be required at the discretion of the select board based on an understanding of wear and tear to the grounds. Once we dove into, do we exempt taxpayers, nonprofits, et cetera, it got very complex because the hospital is technically a nonprofit, but it creates a considerable amount of wear and tear during the hospital fundraising event. And so we just defaulted to at the discretion of the select board and didn't line out what made someone eligible for the waiver of that fee. Are there any questions about the proposed edits to the common use policy, the use of the common? Okay. Moving now to the town hall use policy. This is a little more radical of a revision. Again, the idea is to encourage the use of the town hall by making it as simple as possible. So we looked into the fee structure, and we decided that a $50 flat fee would be required per event. And we were able to line out, in this instance, taxpayers, residents, nonprofits, including the school, are exempt from the $50 flat fee. The reason we have taxpayers / residents is that there are some people that pay a considerable amount in property taxes but do not live here year-round. And nonprofits, it should be self-explanatory, including the school. And then the heating cost, in the prior policy, it had a heating cost during winter months, but not during summer months. And it also broke out what part of the town hall you were using, whether you're using the kitchen, whether you're using just this room, whether you're using the upstairs, whether you're using all. And so we just collapsed all that to a $100 fee to defray, in general, year-round, to defray the cost of heating and maintenance. And if it were once a week, for instance, in the dance class for 2 weeks, it would be $25 per event or $100 per month if it's a weekly event. Like, for instance, I'm not saying that we would waive or not waive this fee, but AA, they meet here, that would be weekly, okay? But
They already pay.
okay, it wouldn't be $100 per event, it would be per month.
Right.
And if we ran that year-round, now, of course, we didn't have any way of proving that that would be a more, that it would be cost-effective. You know, we're taking a little bit of a risk here, because it's kind of just guessing that if we simplified the fee structure and just have a cost to defray heating and maintenance and made it year-round, that it would probably work out in the end, and it would eliminate the perplexing and somewhat more confusing fee structure that was there before. Not to impugn the work of the folks in 2018 or anything, because that was very thorough and thoroughly thought through. But then, 6 years hence, at another glance, it's just like, why don't we just make this super, super simple?
What if we entertain adopting it on a 6-month trial and revisiting and see if there's pieces that we say we wish we had done it differently?
That's probably a brilliant idea.
I
Yes.
just have a question on the heating end of it. Now, you did simplify it, very much so, but the only thing I think I would want to hear would be, it's at the discretion of the select board to decide that, because if you have a tutor coming in every day for 3 hours in the winter, that's different than a dance class every week. And that person's using much more heat than the dance person who's using it once a week for 3 hours. So I just think that there just needs to be a little bit of more scrutiny at the base level when the decision is made. Yes, set up a guideline, but do the same thing you did with waiving the fee and say the heating fee is at the discretion of the select board. And then you'll be able to make a more fiscally responsible decision at that point with the guidelines in place.
Perhaps this non-waivable fee was intended to eliminate all those questionings. Also, if a person is tutoring and meeting weekly, they wouldn't be using the upstairs, and that's the big heat cost. So I think, I believe that Ally's idea of using this for 6 months to see.
That's great. I just think I wanted to have it just be a little bit more dialed in at the end process.
And I think that's a great discussion for 6 months from now, because we'll be right at heating season again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So I have 2 questions, just quick, I want to clarify, the $50 flat fee is separate from the heating and maintenance?
Correct.
Okay. And then the second question, what Sean was just mentioning, actually, we don't really have in here a policy that states that the town hall isn't really meant to be used for business purposes or for kind of any sort of
Money making.
Money making. That was something that got brought up last meeting, I think. So, I know it's just an example you use with a tutor, but I don't think that really fits under the way that we had talked about it. I don't know if that needs to be edited.
Well, the first sentence of this says, it's the policy to encourage the use of its town hall as a public meeting place as well as a place for private gatherings. It's possible to put, I'm paraphrasing here, it is not the intent of the policy of Townshend to encourage the use of its town hall as
For business ventures.
for business purposes. I mean, could put another sentence in there that would actually do just that.
Yeah, and that could be something that just comes up over time as we get requests.
The
over
other
the 6
comment
months.
I have, well, I think that it can defer to the selectmen. It would be nice if we had a policy that was straightforward enough so that a Langton somebody could come in just like a dog license and say, I want to do town hall and not have to wait for a meeting and not have to be on our agenda unless she had a big question. So that's, it used to be like that, 20 years ago. And it used to just be that the town clerk would then have a checklist to go around and everything was clean and the deposit could go back. But to make it simplistic like that might be at least a goal.
That would take some thinking where to put that in. That's not, that would be a further way of encouraging, yes, use of it. One other item, the rental agreement was simplified by simply saying that there was language in there before about when the payments were due and who received them and signing off on the payments, and this simply just says that the reservation is finalized after approval by the select board and fees have been paid, if any. That's it. And there was a line added, or the signature designating approval of the select board. Those are carefully chosen words because it doesn't say that any member of the select board can sign off on it, nor does it say that only the chair of the select board can sign off it. It says this is a signature designating that the select board approved it. So it sort of deputizes, but it encumbers the select board member to having the approval of the entire board. And then a line was added to record what fees, if any, were paid, and that's all. And it was intended to keep it to one page. The town hall use policy was intended to keep it to one sheet of paper, double-sided, instead of 5 sheets of paper. And the same goes for the common use policy, just one sheet of paper, simplified. Any questions about any of the edits or?
I just want to ask Nick,
Sorry, Bob was asking.
sorry.
Good.
I just want to find out exactly what you mean about a business-making venture. We did last year approve, somebody came in and I think they taught a seminar or something in this room. They didn't charge at the door, but people had paid for this seminar and then they came here to hold that seminar.
Yeah.
And that seemed okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to,
Yeah, it was really just a conversation that we'd had at the last meeting, I believe, where that was a concern that was raised. I can't remember what the request was.
Well, and I think a lot of it was, should we give a resident a room for free when it's generating money? And I think it wasn't that the building can't generate money, but it's like, then we're not gonna waive the fee.
oh, okay.
That's how I understood
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, should we give this 2 weeks until we meet again and then we'll revisit it or should we enact it for 6 months? Or anywhere in between?
I mean, I don't think we have really any edits to it today.
Okay.
So I personally would be okay, with like a trial period and we can iron
Make a
out any
motion then.
issues, but yeah, that works. All right.
Questions?
Let me skip over.
Question. There's a provision in here, number 5, that talks about if there's any damage caused by the person renting, they would be responsible. Last week we gave Corey a tour, and when we got upstairs, there were a couple of windows that were not in place, and those windows are really big and really heavy, and if they were just pushed a little bit, they would have fallen out. And I can't imagine the expense of replacing something that's 100 and some odd years old like that. And my question, I suppose, is who's going to police this? In other words, who's going to know beforehand everything is intact and after the event or the person rents that something is damaged or broken and they're going to be the responsible party? So I don't know if that needs to be part of our procedures or...
I would see it being the town clerk / the cleaning maintenance person.
Okay.
Because they're the ones that have their hands on the building, they're the ones that will know if the floors have been damaged and Alenka has the money and we used to just bookkeep it right along with the monies brought into the town clerk. And it used to be right in there on that selectmen's report each
It
meeting.
does make sense. I mean, if you're gonna rent a car, you do a walk around,
Yeah.
so you know what you're being, and a person who would be interested in renting a town hall might very well see that and say, wait a minute, this is a really old building, you know.
It was that way before we got here.
Right, and in which case the town clerk, Elenka, would perhaps, if a person were to say, I want to take a look upstairs and I notice this window, she would make a note of it on the rental agreement or something like that until we have a history of maintenance and cleaning to give us a status of what is broken already.
And to the point you just made about what's broken already, those windows probably shouldn't be opened or anything. And I'm just assuming there was probably some high school kids that said, hey, it's warm in here, and tried to open the windows. I don't think they were successful, but those things were awful close to being out on the side of the building here.
So it might,
Take a look at them at some point. You'll see one of them is broken at the top now, and it wasn't 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Did you have something, Laura?
yeah, well, it might be good for someone to go around before it's actually used to see what condition it's in. So there's a comparison between before and after, you know?
Yeah,
and
we could go around with our handy cell phones and take pictures and file them.
whatever. Yeah, because
Yeah,
as
I
it
mean,
says.
it might
and
be
another-
worth it. I
and
mean, bottom line, if one of those windows breaks, we're not gonna be covered by anybody but maybe insurance.
And also, wasn't that curtain up there like refurbished a few years
Painted
ago?
curtains.
And it's considered quite valuable, the one up on the stage?
I don't have that information,
Because that's
Yeah,
the
something that
painted
should
that
be.
how valuable they are.
They were restored about 15 years ago, and there's several of them. I want to say there's 7 of them. There's some that aren't hung, and then there's a bunch that are hung. Actually, recently, me, Heidi Clausen, Helen, a couple people from the Historical Society created a curtain watch committee to ensure, now that there's more people using the upstairs of the town hall, to ensure that the curtains are being protected, and also to train anyone that might be near them on how to, not kick them, or also encouraging people not to try to put them up and down, but training some people in town to use them, who know how to use them, because they're really heavy and it's kind of a crazy task to pull them up and take them back down. So that's what we've been doing. Didn't bring it up here because it's separate.
Keep an eye on it each time as well, you know?
Yeah.
That would probably be considered fine art under the town's insurance policy, and it should be spelled out, and you might even, because they were restored, have an appraisal on those things. They're kind of cool.
That's a good idea. They are historic and they are in a book. There's many towns that have them that are done by this person that made them, and you should look into it. It's really cool. They're very interesting and important pieces of art that definitely need preserving.
And the other thing I was going to bring up, which is like totally eluding me now. Is this supposed to be like posted or something for the public over when you do a policy? I thought there was some kind of a procedure where it had to be put up for the public to see and know about and approve and discuss or whatever.
Not that I know of.
We have a policy on approving policies.
Yeah, like the town people are supposed to be able to have input, something. Because I know they did that with the other one, that's what I'm asking. They had it up there for, I don't know, a couple of
Up
weeks
there.
or a month, in the town clerk's office, or where people could see it, and, you know, I don't think anybody did anything, but I think it was like just standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
I wasn't around when it was done, so I don't know.
So if we make a motion to approve this for 6 months, and we'll post it, and then if anybody has any questions or comments, we could always adjust it at the 6-month time period.
So a trial period versus like a full adoption of the policy.
It's also good for people to just have it there to refer to. Not just
Yes.
This is one of those things that Katie referred to earlier, goes on the official town website, so that you can see your policies and procedures.
And people love the front porch forum and the Townshend families, we can put it on there. So, shall we move along, folks? New business is appointments.
So do we want to
Oh,
move for
oh,
the
we
6
didn't-
month trial period?
I
Okay.
thought we,
No, we did not.
sorry,
So I would
okay.
just like to make a motion to adopt this policy over a 6 month trial period, at which time the public will also have time to comment any questions or concerns they have about it.
Second.
You seconded it.
No, I was looking for a second.
Oh, I'll second.
There was a question mark in It's 7:30. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no one. So now we can move on to appointments. Everybody has the list of appointments for 24 to 25. And the second page is an amendment to that for ones that we are considering adding. So let's deal with them separately. Sherwood's not here to address the emergency management coordinator. The health officer, I am the health officer by default, as I understand it, correct? If a doctor moved into town and wanted to be the health officer, he or she would be the logical person. And then the other things, we have tree warden, we have 2 people interested in one position, and I think we could have 2 people. So it would be my thought that we appoint both. And then the other is Wyndham Regional. There's a slot for a second person to Andy. Andy said he's okay without somebody else, but that is a position, if anybody is interested in it, that can be filled. And should we vote on these separately or together, Connie?
I think that's the preference of the board.
Okay.
If they
I didn't
have
know
any
how it was
questions
done.
or they have any concerns.
But should we make a motion just to approve this first page and then move on to the second?
Unless somebody has a concern about doing it.
I'm okay with
That's how you do it.
approving in batch. Might have some discussion, but.
So if we make a motion and second it, then we can have discussion.
All right, so I move to approve this list of appointments for 2024 through 2025.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
It's a discussion.
What, discussion?
So I just want to clarify if we have 2 tree wardens, is there kind of, if there's conflict amongst there, or like, you know, kind of decision-making authority? That's kind of the only question I have in my mind.
And I don't have that page in here that showed us what they were.
I think they report to the select board.
Everybody, every single person on this list reports to the select board. They work under our guidance and our supervision,
Well, I think that would help with any possible conflict then.
whether it's a maple or
And
a,
folks, tree fights.
yeah. Any other discussion?
So we're only voting in this page, right? This
Yeah,
first
That's
page?
what I think,
Okay.
yes. Any questions?
Have a lot of these people been in these positions before?
Oh,
Bob's new with the trees.
Nicholas Reynolds would be a new weigher of coal,
And
and I think those are the only changes. Oh, and Doug Valentine. would
Doug
be-
Valentine is new, and then there's 2 positions open to make the planning commission up to 7?
6.
6?
These two bring it up to 5.
And then the next page, we have,
One more, yeah.
okay. Okay, so are we finished discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, so then the next page are the new appointments that we have come up with. The 6th Planning Commission member, the EMC Deputy for Local Emergency Management Plan, the Keeper of the Common, which would be the fountain, the trees, and the future gazebo. A grant writer developer who would, and there's a description for these things on the next page. And a town property liaison who would, well, I won't describe them because we can look at it when we look at the next one. Official town website coordinator and an assistant, Wyndham Solid Waste. They had said that they wouldn't mind having a second one, but it wasn't necessary, so we put that on this second page. So, shall we make a motion to discuss? Or a motion to approve, and then we can discuss?
So moved.
Okay. Second, please?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
So did we establish, I know there was some question on the planning commission, so it would be fine to have it 6, not an odd number? I suppose that's to you, Bob. Yeah.
If we ever get to the point where we're divided in terms of vote, I'm ready.
Fair enough.
Okay.
My concern with the grant development one is that this is all, the description is pretty much in my scope of work. So I didn't know that, I don't know. I understand somebody to,
Well, and that's why I put in share information with the grant writer coordinator. I saw you almost being this committee's specific person. And that they could do some of the grunt work of going out and like you talked about, being able to hone in on the actual grant writing. And we can reword the description any way you would like it. But, 15 hours a week isn't a lot of time for you to figure out everything that's out there. So they could come with a report to you once a month or whatever you said, and you could say, been there, this looks interesting. You would be the one in charge of that appointed person or group.
These aren't paid.
No,
No.
these are just appointments.
So, a point of clarification then on that grant development, would Katie or whoever person in the future in grant writing also be able to just be that appointment? No.
You mean, could Katie be appointed
Could
to
she be
this?
appointed to the same?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so.
And still be somebody that does it as a job.
Yeah,
I would say so. I might think just keep it separate because it's not necessary to be on the committee to have the committee report to you.
yeah, I'm also just a little concerned, as Katie brought up, just that it's gonna be duplicative, and then we're kind of not really know who's supposed to be doing what. And then especially if one of those positions is a paid position, the other is just a volunteer appointment.
right, I'd prefer to keep it separate as a committee as opposed to a town appointment. I think that might clear up any
Yeah,
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And through the VLCT, that was really their heaviest recommendation, was to
Okay.
form a committee.
yeah.
Okay, so we can scratch this one and then, do you want to be in charge of developing a committee?
Sure.
Okay,
So can I amend our motion to scratch the grant developer from the appointments,
second.
I also have a little bit of concern.
I'll second it because I
Okay.
seconded the review.
Okay.
I know that Sherwood had some concerns about the local emergency management plan, and I'm not sure that I'm totally comfortable moving on anything with these
Well,
out here for the discussion.
I wasn't planning on moving on this. I was
Oh, okay.
planning on, showing you folks this
Okay.
because you know, we had some conversation about should we have more appointments, and I took it upon myself to create these, but not with your help. So I wanted to show you what I had come up with your input, and we'll move forward.
I like the idea. I, on the other hand, like the idea of the way this is written. It would be like an instance where there was an emergency for somebody's house burns down, or a tree hits the house or something, and to that one instance to help to be the person to go to for coordinating help to the family or to the individual.
And it wasn't even thought that it would be a week-long type, stay here for a week, it's just your house is flooding, go to town hall, you know, and it would be open and,
excuse me. I definitely like the website coordinator, because I think,
well, it can take a lot of the heat off what we were just discussing with coming up. And then the town property liaison, I was realizing how many pieces of property are kind of lost in old minutes that aren't really accessible. You can't push a button and find out the history on a special part, and it would be nice to get some townspeople who are interested in history that can develop an easy way to access this information, and, you know, what houses are on the West Street sewer, where does this septic go for the hospital, you know, all sorts of things that have been talked about over the decades, but when people die off, you're kind of like, what? Like I said to Alenka, why is West Street sewer called West Street sewer? Maybe the cemetery road used to be called West Street, you know, who knows? But there's a lot we really don't know about our town. And if we had an appointed committee that reported to us with that, we'd get that information. And Keeper of the Common, it basically just put the fountain, the trees, and the gazebo together. And this wording is all up for discussion.
So I'm just confused about the motion. What is the motion?
Was to approve them.
Okay, so,
To approve the creation of them.
Right.
Not to approve them yet.
Yeah, and we did that so we could actually discuss. And so then we really don't need that second motion to scratch this, do we? Or we can leave it in there, because.
I just wanted to not approve creating the grant development appointment if it seems like it's not.
So we've got a motion and a second motion to eliminate the grant writer, and that Katie will develop a committee. Committee is the word you used?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would need a vote on that.
That we're looking at the 4 pieces and we are scratching the top one.
Yeah,
So,
one after the other. So first scratching the grant development and then
okay.
approving the creation
So
of these appointments.
let's vote on scratching the grant development appointment. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No? And now we'll vote on considering
No, to create, right? This is the motion to create additional appointments.
Yeah.
But we haven't created them yet.
yeah.
We're considering them.
Talking about how
So
we
we can
weren't
table it.
ready to create them,
We
yeah.
don't have to make that decision tonight.
So then we table that and we come back to it next meeting
Yeah,
after
that
we've
makes-
digested it and made notes.
That
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. Then the Pickle Festival.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve Finale Ferment's Townsend Common request for the Pickle Festival on August 10th with setting up the day that the hospital fair breaks down, August 11th. Set up the day the hospital fair breaks down, and then, what did she say? Well, she has 2 different dates on here. Set up on August 10th and the festival on August 11th, is that what it is, Connie?
I have not talked to her, so I don't really know.
It sounds like she wants to set up
Set
what,
up a sign on the hospital fair breaks
the
down.
hospital fair is the first Saturday in August.
Yeah,
And
so
the
she has
10th is
two-
not,
She has 2 dates, August 10th, or is it the 12th she has on there?
well,
It's hard to tell.
Could
but
be
then if she
12.
talks about the fair is not that date.
Yeah.
I mean, should we confirm the date with her? Okay. So let's just pass over that for now. And then we have the MTAP, MTAP.
That's what she presented on.
Yes.
So that'd be very good.
And the Humane Society contract.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract with Wyndham County Humane Society for 2024 through 2025.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the WRC contract.
I would like to make a motion to approve the contract with Wyndham Regional Commission for April 1st, 2024 through March 1st, 2025.
For the town plan. It's for the
Yeah.
town plan.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I was looking at the scope of work.
Yeah, so this is really for Wyndham Regional to assist us in updating our town plans and our hazard mitigation.
Yeah, and what was explained to me, we talked about this a lot last year, or a couple months ago when we were budgeting and stuff. There's a lot of what Wyndham Regional does is that the language is really dense and there's a lot of information in these town plans. And so when you go to update them, it's not always so clear on every single little piece. So they go through it and do all of that heavy lifting for us and then, present it as an updated, they know all the things that need updating and how to keep it legal and everything like that. So that's really what this is doing. Did I explain that well?
Okay. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion and a second.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Guys have it. Then we go on to the highwayman who is requesting a medical leave of absence. He will be out for 12 weeks from May 13th through August 5th. And
What is the name of this person?
it's right on the agenda.
Leonard Reynolds.
Leonard Reynolds. He's also known as Red. And we've talked to Jeremy and he said that if it had to be a time of the year, this is like the best time of the year it could happen. And
Do we need a motion to approve it?
Yeah. And then I want to just give a little,
All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the medical leave of absence, starting May 13th through August 5th, 2024,
for the,
for Leonard Reynolds.
second, and then discussion.
yeah. The only thing that I want to just have it go on record is if by approving this, we also are approving that it is unpaid, that we would not be removing his health care, but he would not be accruing paid time off during his time out. I just think that's something that you need to consider.
And that'll be a matter of the minutes, so when we vote, it will be as per that.
Sean has a question.
He's aware, Red is aware that he will be he's requested this knowing he will still have insurance and he will have unpaid medical leave. Oh, and that works out for him.
He's got some vacation time he's gonna use up.
Perfect. He earned it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then the last one that we added was, I don't know that you have any paperwork on it, 'cause- okay, I don't.
Oh, well, these,
Oh, there.
all right, do they?
The Riverbend, alcohol and tobacco, licenses,
Tobacco.
just approving them.
Oh, you
They've,
have it?
they've had them for as long as they've been in business here.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Riverbend tobacco license as well as their liquor license.
Not a liquor license.
It's not
The
a-
second class, which is just the beer one.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong, okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve their the Riverbend's tobacco license and second class license.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Oh, are we authorizing Ally, can I add to my motion to authorize Ally to sign it on behalf of the select board?
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And what about this stuff, Connie?
Then we'll go with that after.
So no need now? Okay, and
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, and
So
our
moved.
next meeting is May 14th.
I moved it.
Seconded.
Nobody's opposed to that? Okay, thank you, everybody.